We're still scheduled, but there we are. We are now live. Hello, everybody. Come on in.
What up,
Come on
lovely?
in. It's a Sunday morning on the day of daylight savings time. So hopefully we'll get an audience. We have somebody watching us now. The chat is open. The chat is open, but you're going to have to fend for your own coffee today because I couldn't get the wait staff together fast enough to get the coffee made.
I'm sorry.
Nobody's up and around the hall this morning. I think that they had a party in the hall last night. In fact, the table's a little disheveled looking. There's glasses half tipped over, and who knows what was in those. And so, come on in, everybody. It's a Sunday Funnies. It's Sunday, the 13th of March. As Walt Kelly would say, and in Pogo, Friday the 13th is on a Sunday this month. Come on in.
Nice.
Pogo, ever read much? Probably not. That's a comic strip that's ahead of all of you guys' times. But Walt Kelly was a master with a brush and with a satiric wit, and he had a comic strip here about a group of animals in the Ophikanofi swamp. The lead character was a possum named Pogo. And it was one of the best and most popular comic strips here. Was carried in numerous amounts of newspapers when it came out. Rich, you're on the air.
Yay.
Though all we can see are your hands and a piece of paper. So if you're writing a ransom note, just be warned. Everybody can see it.
I'm drawing because I want to draw.
There we are. Sweet. Of course you can draw. Hell yeah, that's a good reason. Just draw away.
Oh, yeah.
You're gonna have to bear down a little bit so that we can all see what you're drawing, though.
Well, I'm doing the preliminary thumbnails with the blue line first.
Oh.
And just sketching it out, taking a look at my reference, and then this will be about 5 minutes maybe, and then I'll just go in with the pencil and do my stuff.
Well, you take your time. We're just here talking. Ragin 2 Networks on the air, or actually alive this morning. Good morning, gentlemen. Good morning.
Good morning to.
Good morning, Nita.
And Nita also says, please warn Rich he's live. LOL.
What's that supposed to mean there, You live in Louisiana. Like, the F word is as common as the word "the" where you come from, Miss American savage. With all your language and your violence and your stuff.
Our stuff.
That's right. Oh, us British men, we're dignified. So F you.
Well, that's a good thing you're not British, then.
I know. Thank God. Thank goodness. How are you feeling, Randy? How are you going today, my friend?
I'm dragging my ass, but here it's Sunday morning and I haven't had enough coffee.
Oh, God.
Oh, cheers to that. I gotta shut down some things because I'm starting to.
I'm always gonna ask that of you for a while. I think I kind of know how that is. So.
Oh, what?
I'm glad you're okay. I am very pleased that you're all right.
Oh yeah, me too. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, it's all good. I'm getting better all the time.
Good. That's always.
Let's keep that up.
Yes, I'm very happy about that. We have the sexiest man in comics, me, but the second sexiest is Mike Jimmy. So I'm very happy that Mike Jimmy is here. I love being on a show with Mike Jimmy and Marv, of course, as well.
Of course, man.
Marv's freezing though.
Marv's freezing. Why is he freezing?
Oh, there he is. Now he's moving. All right.
Yeah.
I'm old.
I'm freezing. I'm here in Michigan. I'm freezing my, off. So. Anyway,
last 2 nights I had to be in a tent. Trust me, I know what freezing is.
Oh, okay. I'll be quiet.
That was no fun.
All right, we're gonna run the opening. We'll be right back on the other side. Hang on, everybody. This is Sunday Funnies for the 13th of March, 2020. That's right, fiendish laughter. Welcome everybody. This is Sunday Funnies. We have no topics. We have no game plan. We're just here, and we're glad you're here with us. So
come on in, come on, hang out.
I swore when I came.
Yourself.
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah, help yourself to the coffee.
Mm-hmm.
I swore when I came back that I would always have a game plan. We'll have guests lined up. Everything will be great. And this week we got a lot of people coming in at spur of the moment, and there's still more that have promised to show up. So,
well, that's fantastic. That's great. Yeah. You know, I mean, the show that really just basically shoots from the hip is unpredictable and always fun. You know, you're doing it right. Whatever you think you're doing it right.
Fun is the idea behind Sunday Funnies. We're here to talk about the more lighter, more whimsical side of comics, the fun stuff that we love from the art form that we love. And hopefully the conversation won't stray too far away from there, but it is Sunday Funnies after all, and sometimes the conversation goes in very bizarre directions.
Oh yeah.
I promise I will not disrupt the flow of continuity. I'm gonna be a good boy.
You're fine.
I saw something yesterday.
There is no flow, by the way, but go ahead.
Okay. Anyway, I read something yesterday that I don't know who was printing it, but the 7,000 copies of JLA versus Avengers was printed, and it was given to George Correll.
Yes. I believe that was the Hero Initiative that went through and printed that, because nobody else would have been able to get permission, to tell you the truth.
Yeah.
Wow.
Both sides are so much at each other's throat that a lot of those team up books are never, the word was they would never see a reprint ever.
Well, there was a point where I was working at Marvel at the time when that book was published, and Tom Brevoort was the editor over there, and he talked to me about how they were having a squabble. Now, for anybody who hasn't read it, but there's a portion of the book where I think it's the first major fight between the JLA and the Avengers, where Thor and Superman are going at it, and they had a back and forth for quite some time on who was going to win between Thor and Superman.
I'm sure they did.
From what I heard, DC Comics said there will not be a book if Superman loses to Thor. That's it.
I would not be surprised. That sounds about right.
They compromised it. If anybody remembers reading it, they compromised, saying that it's like, okay, so Superman will fight Thor, but then Superman's going to say, that was the hardest fight that I've ever had. Oh my God. After like maybe about 5 or 6 punches, forget about Doomsday. Thor punched the crap out of me for like a minute with his hammer. Oh, that was the worst thing I've ever had. And then, and then it's like they had that squabble. So for something as petty as that, for something as petty as that to have a landmark series like that almost be completely kaput is just pathetic.
Well, that's pretty typical from what I understand about and it's not just, one side or the other. It's both sides squabbling with each other.
It is, which is fun too, because I've been up to the offices in Marvel and DC, and it's a rather, it was, when they were in New York, it was a very incestuous, thing between the two of them, because a lot of the editors who would work at Marvel for a bit would jump over to DC,
sure,
and then back to Marvel, and then back to DC, and then went back to Marvel. So it's like, they may have like squabbled and hated each other, but they sort of swapped spit or anything all over the places. It was just so weird.
Well, comics have always been the nepotism and that always ran through comics as an industry. But a lot of times it was because people considered that they were lowering themselves to doing comics over top of all of the other art forms that they could be doing for more money. Martin Goodman's cousin. Martin Goodman was running Timely and Atlas. Brings his cousin in to start doing a little gophering around the offices, and that's how Stan Lee got his job.
Yeah, he always thought he was going to write the great American novel, didn't he?
Yeah.
That was his aim.
That's why he didn't use his full name, full last name. Yeah.
Stanley Lieber, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Lieber, yeah.
Yeah, Larry's his brother, Larry Lieber. Larry worked for Marvel for quite a while and then did Atlas Comics for a bit. And then now I think he's still working on the Spider-Man comic strip, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh, my God. Really?
Yeah.
That's incredible how long that thing's been in publication.
Oh, yeah. But it's Spider-Man, so.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
It must be quite lucrative, I would have thought, even now.
Yeah.
More so.
Through it, well, they're the majority of their syndications worldwide. So here in the States, it's very difficult to get an adventure strip of any type on a regular basis. Dick Tracy is still running in some papers, but it's very few. Prince Valiant is running in papers over here, but it's very few, you know. What
kind of monies do these people get? Because I'm intrigued by that, because when Calvin and Hobbes and Peanuts and things like that, they were being syndicated in 2,000 newspapers in the United States alone. And if they only got $1 per, that's $2,000 a day.
Yeah.
And I would imagine they'd be getting a lot more than that.
Yeah, well, there was a while there from what I understand, the usual syndicate deal was 50-50.
Right.
That they would keep 50% of any money that they generated, but buying the strips is incredibly, in my opinion, still inexpensive depending upon what you're getting. You know, that they judge your fee by your circulation, by how many you print. Because there was a period for a decade there that I was carrying a couple of syndicated strips in my Flint Comics newspaper. I was carrying Leo. I carried Non Sequitur for a little while. And Mutt and Jeff. I carried I actually carried, and this stunned them when I asked them for it. I carried the Judge Dredd and the James Bond strips over here.
Wow.
And they literally, the representative, the first representative I had was an older guy, and he said, no, we don't do those in North America at all. And I saw they also had Modesty Blaze, but if I were to carry it, I'd have to carry it in Spanish instead of English, and that was really disheartening to me. I didn't want to carry it, but I would have carried Modesty Blaze in a heartbeat if they'd have let me. But they had a switch. The guy that was my rep retired, and a young lady come in, and she goes, "Hi, I'm your new representative. I see you're carrying 3 of our strips, and I want to sell you more." And I says, "Oh, okay. You want to sell me more?" Says, "I would love to carry Judge Dredd and James Bond." And there was a silence for about 15 seconds on the phone, to the point where I went, "Hello?" And she goes, "I don't even know if we," she literally said, "I don't even know if we have North American rights for those strips." Wow. And she was a rep for the syndicate, right? So she goes, "I'm going to check on that, and I will get back to you on it." And I said, "If you do, I would deeply appreciate it." And so next day she calls me back and she goes, "Guess what? We've got North American rights for Judge Dredd and James Bond. Nobody's ever asked me before to run it." And I says, I'll take them. So issue 15 all the way to issue 100. I was running James Bond and Judge Dredd in that paper.
Why did they never offer it to the newspapers or
newspapers over here don't carry adventure strips unless they're so long running that they're grandfathered in. Dick Tracy, Prince Valiant, but there are no new adventure strips. In fact, they tried to revamp Little Orphan Annie. Andrew Peaboy was working on that, and it was a good quality. Paul Cooperberg, I believe, was writing it. Andrew Peaboy was drawing it, and it was a good quality, high quality strip. Couldn't sell it enough.
But surely James Bond is 60, 70 years old now. It's the strip was from the 50s and all that kind of thing. Let me
tell you about the problems with carrying James Bond over here in the States. I think I already told you that before. There was one scene in James Bond where they were talking that the trail had led to an exotic dancer. And there was a picture of her there with daisy pasties on her breasts. And I had a mom and I printed it thinking, oh, they're pasties, because I could see that they were daisies. They weren't areolas on there. But I had a mom go absolutely ballistic when she saw it because she could see the bottom part of her breast.
Because we all know that breasts will bring on the apocalypse. We all know that.
Yes, and will lead to pure evil.
Yes. I always wonder how many violent videos Genghis Khan was watching before he laid waste to the world. You know,
all that.
You know, he was looking at plenty of breasts.
He was constantly playing Grand Theft Auto. We all know. We all know he was.
Oh yeah.
But with James Bond, I had to go through and reemphasize the G strings and draw brasiers or little bikini tops on all of the women, because at least once a story, and this was towards the end of the James Bond strip run, one of the girls or all of them lost their tops. They always did. Always. Because over in England, you can be bare-breasted in your newspapers, and over here in the States, you get angry moms.
Used to be.
So.
Used
to be.
Disgusting.
Exactly. Yep. So there were whole stories at the end of the Bond run, because I was printing a monthly paper and the strip was daily, and I was pulling the strips off weekly. There were whole James Bond stories I just didn't run because I didn't want to go through and have to draw all the brasiers on and all of that, re-emphasize the G strings in the hopes that some mom isn't going to lose her mind because the girl was so naked. Just crazy. And yet Judge Dredd, on the other hand, violent as hell, great social commentary, just constantly berating the system, American justice system. Great strip. Everybody loved it. They loved reading it. They couldn't get enough of it. It was great. Just go figure.
Violence good, breasts bad.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh yeah.
They're gonna have.
And I ran comic strip. Go ahead, whoever.
They're gonna have a few problems with my second books. With my second book,
with your second book. Well, your second book won't be syndicated in newspapers. You're fine.
But he wants it to be.
Boobs, and boobs are
we would all like it to be, but
get them out, Marv. Get them out.
Yeah, anybody who has a syndicated strip usually has a part-time job, or they're doing a lot of commercial work on the side.
Yeah, like Wally Wood.
If they're not, if they're not selling a lot of commercial, other merchandising and stuff of their character. So in Waterston, Burke Breathed, Gary Larson, all of these great cartoonists that have stopped their strip in midstream over the years haven't done it because they haven't made money, because they love doing what they do. They stopped it because they kept getting so much editorial interference.
Wow.
Because the strips have to be so sterilized now so as not to offend anybody. And it's like humor here in America. It's so sterile that very rarely does it achieve its goals.
Yeah, same here.
Not like the old days when comic strips were crazy and everything could be taken out of context.
It's just in case that somebody isn't upset, isn't it?
Yeah,
somebody is upset, I should say.
Exactly. Well, we still have Judge Parker over here that's done by Terry Beatty. He does that all on his own. And that doesn't have that big of I don't think it's got that huge of a circulation, but he's making a living off of it. He came off of the Phantom strip in order to do all of Judge Parker. So I think Mary Worth is still coming out. I don't think Apartment 3G is still coming out. They were all from the same group, same syndicate, or at least I saw them all as the same thing. But other than that, as far as adventure strips go, or serious strips here in the States, it's hard to find. Prince Valiant, Dick Tracy are still coming out.
They get smaller, don't they? Because I've seen the photographs of the newspapers from the 30s and 40s, and those strips were huge, weren't they?
Yeah. Even Alley Oop has switched to more of a humor strip than an adventure strip. And there was a time there that around here, Alley Oop, was phenomenal.
Mike, let me ask you a question. Was any Hergé stuff, Tintin and all that stuff, was that syndicated in newspapers in Europe?
Yes,
I've never seen that I've never seen it in the British newspaper, Tintin or anything like that. I just wondered if any of that kind of stuff was there.
Oh yeah,
I could-
totally.
I could see that happening because those pages are built on two
the
rectangles.
tiers, yeah.
It's almost like two Sunday pages
Yeah,
stacked
that's
one
why
on top of the other.
that's what I thought. Yeah, they're always the same size panel in a tier.
Mhm.
Literally, all of them essentially started as part of a magazine. So you would have a monthly page or two published, or have your weekly strips in a newspaper, and that is very common. But we're talking about 40s and 50s here, and it really got less and less. Like nowadays, if you find a comic strip or just even a gag cartoon in a newspaper, it's something special.
Right.
So
Wow.
yeah, they really pushed it out the last 5 years or so.
Randy, it was interesting that you said about the Modesty Blaze thing being in Spanish.
Mm-hmm.
There is an English version. Why was it only the Spanish version they offered?
That's all they carried, because that's the only place they could sell it.
Right.
Which I was dismayed by it, because I would run out and get the Detroit Free Press just to see the 4-panel Modesty Blaze strip. So I've got them all now reprinted. Titan has done amazing volumes, reprint volumes of them, and I think there's been another company since then that's gone through and reprinted the entire run.
I interviewed Romero, one of the artists or the main artists, and he told me that when he used to send the artwork in, they used to get if there was a female villain, they'd get editorial people to make her ugly, because he just couldn't draw ugly women.
Yeah,
and the villains were just so gorgeous but they didn't seem to. I think that works better, but they were just so gorgeous, these women, that they get somebody to put lines on them and wrinkles on them and stuff like that. Ruin his artwork. Yeah,
well, look at Dragon Lady and Terry and the Pirates. She was phenomenally gorgeous.
Yeah,
and incredibly popular. So
and Natasha and Boris in Bullwinkle, remember that?
Yeah. That's some memories.
What is it?
Didn't get that.
Didn't catch that. Is that right?
Sorry about that, guys.
Well, we should probably introduce ourselves since we're almost a half an hour in. So, hey everybody, I'm your host, Randy Zimmerman. I've been a longtime alternative and independent comics publisher, producer, printer, creator. I've done a lot of just about everything that you can imagine in the independent market at one point or another, and have done a lot of done comics for multiple decades. So there was a decade there I was putting together a newspaper for my local area, where we moved 10,000 copies of the paper. It was advertiser supported, where people came in and picked up a funny book paper once a month. And it really reinstilled my love for this art form, especially the lighter and more whimsical side of comics. We carried a lot of a few adventure strips, but a lot of gag strips, single panel cartoons, and got a great package from King Features that carried a bunch of single panel strips plus Flash Gordon. Started carrying Prince Valiant by Cullen. I think the guy who replaced Foster, reprints, but still incredible reading. So now I am doing Arrow Comics whenever I can. We have whenever a deal falls in place that is real. Yeah, there we are. There's Mike Jimmy showing off the Arrow Comics as we speak. Yes, and I'm working on a couple of other graphic novel books that I've had on the back burner. Well, one I've had on the back burner for far too long, and one I decided to start doing off of my wonderful COVID and respirator experience. So did I say wonderful? Anyway. Also joining us today is Mike Jimmy. Mike Jimmy, introduce yourself.
Hey everyone, I'm Mike Jimmy de Bruin. I'm a Dutch comic creator and publisher. And well, I do the world building comic La Pangora, and issue 5 is currently running on Indiegogo. We are at 3 days left with 47 backers, so help me get to 50 because we're so close, and I want to break that barrier. And yeah, I draw shit and I publish other people, including the guy right here next to me. Marvi, introduce yourself.
Hi, I'm RV. I'm the mastermind behind the Sim Killer that will be coming out in a couple of months, the Gabriel Ripper of Souls. And thank you so much for having me, Randy. Great to see you guys. That you're all
Glad
doing
to have
well
you here,
and
Marvi.
kicking ass. So
Yes,
yeah,
there we go. A lot of us
Russ.
are drawing while we're podcasting. One of
Yeah.
which is Russ Leach. Russ, how are you?
Hi there. Good to see you all. Been a while.
Yeah.
My name is Russ Leach. I'm a comic book artist and illustrator from the UK. I've drawn for Marvel and Panini, Hachette, and plenty of other people as well, like Mike Cozier and Aces Weekly and what have you. I'm kind of straddling in between independent and mainstream publishing work. I work a lot on Doctor Who. I also do plenty of other brand and IP work for Panini UK, and at the same time I'm producing my own graphic novel series, Only Death Can Save Us, and that's just about me.
Great. Only death can save us. There we are. Also joining us today is the great Glenn B. Fleming. Glenn, introduce yourself.
Hi, everybody. I'm Glenn Fleming, a writer, artist, and publisher. I publish lots of books. You can find them all on Amazon, various subjects, assassinations and D-Day and all sorts of stuff. At the moment, I have a project on Indiegogo. That's Jack Kirby.
Yeah, there you go. I had that book here.
Regarding my visits to his house. And I've written a book about it, and I've also produced a DVD of he and I speaking in his studio for about 45 minutes or so. That's currently on Indiegogo, so please go over there and check it out. I also publish Comics Unlimited, which is a magazine about, surprisingly, comics, and that's about it really. But check out Amazon for my work, and I've done lots of things. And as I say, Indiegogo, Jack Kirby.
There we go. And we're also joined today by Rich. Rich, introduce yourself.
Hello, everyone. My name's Rich Barada. I am a former Marvel and DC artist who, from mid-90s to 2012 and 2013, I went into the independent circuit. And in 2021, I decided to have the temerity and to publish my first graphic novel series titled The Incantessi. I have the first 2 chapters out right now, and chapter 3 is hopefully going to be released sometime in June. There's also a couple of other projects that I'm considering starting up. I'm also a co-host of the Monday Madness and the Sunday Afternoon Draw Stream with Pops Van Zant. And I'm drawing Melissa Etheridge right now because I can.
Cool.
To my window, crawl inside. You know,
That too.
I love that song, but ever since the episode of South Park, I can't think of anything else whenever just like, oh my God. I'm not going to talk about it. I'm not going to say it, but anybody who's heard that song come to my window will get it. Oh,
South Park. There we are. Yes.
Then
Oh, yeah.
That show's been on
Sunday
for
Funnies.
27 years, man.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's yeah.
Time. That's incredible.
Been going for how long?
Not bad for a group of guys who just decided to throw some construction paper together.
Yeah, I know. Not bad.
Yeah, move it around. Yeah, not bad at all. I love the documentary that they have of them, how they put a half-hour show together within a week.
Oh, that's crazy.
It's just amazing.
I love
They stay topical for a reason because they can. So, yeah.
Incredible.
You were saying, Glenn?
I was just asking, how long did you say that you can go in?
27
years.
Yeah.
27 years.
Yeah.
27 years. I could be wrong with the time. I don't know. When did they start? 1995 or 97?
I'm not sure if they've been around quite that long, but I know Simpsons have been around for 27, 28 years.
Yeah.
30 years.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
it
30?
was
Is it 30?
90.
No, 89.
Yeah, like
They were a featurette on the Tracy
Yeah,
Ullman show.
Yeah.
Yes, they were.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So they're all middle aged now.
Oh my God, yeah.
They're not seven.
Like the
anymore.
rest of us.
Yeah. Yeah. Like Spider-Man. Peter Parker, how old is he now? Is he 17 now?
Yeah,
72.
17.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yep, on the chat, Ragin says only underboob summons the end times. Yes.
I love underboob.
Justo says Glenn Russ. Good morning, guys.
Right.
Good morning. to
Good
everybody.
morning.
Frog G in the house. Hail all and good morning. Hail Frog G. How are you?
Ribbit.
Ragin says hail and good morning, Frog. What is that? That's the project's Life on Cora. That's the Life on Cora link. The links are in the chat or appearing in the chat. Morning all from the desk of a small press publisher. Hi, Joe. How are you?
Oh, yeah, Joe.
All of the links are in the
Joe.
chat for the Only Death Can Save Us for the Long Shots campaign, which we'll talk about before we're done here today. Empyrean Vol, Peter's in the house. Hey, how you doing? We think we are making big trouble for moose and squirrel. Yes. So who are you guys? Ragin 2 says.
let me say that.
We got around to that.
No.
Joe is laughing at us from the desk of a small press publisher, LMAO. Some things just don't change with the show. Conversation dominates over proper introduction. Yeah. Aria Blackness says, how's it going, dudes? Going well. Thank you for listening.
Hey.
Says Rich and Russ's drawings both look great. Yes, absolutely.
Better. He's better. And he's better
Oh,
looking.
Hail, 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 hail all from Frog. Morning, Frog. Everybody's saying good morning. Good morning. Greetings. Greetings. That's how far back I am. Greetings, sinners. From some guy named the Sin Killer. What's that all about?
Who's that sinner guy? I heard he's an ass.
Maybe that I can talk about that.
Morning, Ragin 2. Hope all is well on the producing front. These 6 will make some good trouble. Yes.
Oh, boy.
We're here to make good trouble.
Oh, yeah.
That catches us up with the chat finally. Thank you. Thanks, everybody. Chat's still open. Make sure you hit that like button. Make sure you tell your friends. This insanity happens every Sunday morning. If you start hearing banging coming across my microphone, my wife's just got back with the groceries. So, and we have the granddaughter, so there'll be little pitter patters that sometimes she might even come down here. There she is stomping now. If you can hear her.
Oh my God. There's a knocking. Don't.
It's all good.
If the mic is rocking, don't come a knocking.
Yeah.
Just barely.
Well, the wife starts work really early, so she gets up at 5 a.m. And even on weekends, because why interrupt your sleep schedule?
That's true.
Russ,
Plus
is that some real artwork you're producing there?
Real artwork, mate. All my
real
artwork
artwork.
is real.
I know.
I don't do digital anymore. Well, I don't do digital links anymore.
Brilliant, excellent. Because I'm just working on this hatch thing today. I haven't got your technology, but there's some of the pencil work, and you can see
Oh,
it.
look at that! Lovely, lovely, lovely.
We see the logo. Pull it back so the light can hit it a little harder. There we are. Well,
yeah,
nice.
there it is. Right
Yeah, there we go.
there we
Got
are.
that?
Yes.
Just a new strip I'm working on there for whenever it comes out. You know, my second hatch book will be out in. I think it's going to be in April. April now. I'm busy doing this Indiegogo thing, you know, with this Kirby book. So
Yeah, buy it now.
Mike, give me a second.
Lady.
There we are, right there. Boom.
yeah,
There we are.
There we go. Real,
Yes.
see, on a piece of paper. That's
So
the way you do it.
Yeah.
So I'm at full traditional again too. So I just make the layouts digitally. You can actually see the page part as well because my writer decided to go overkill and go, yeah, let's put 8 panels in every page at least. So I'm at a 4-line grid, you know, the actual traditional European style. And
Yeah.
I've been inking at conventions because I just don't have the time otherwise, and it pulls in people, so it gets for more sales.
Good. And Marv's working
Toilet
off
paper.
camera, so he's looking down and he's got his glasses
Yeah.
on. He's working.
Have you had a power cut,
Yeah.
Marv?
sorry.
Wow.
Yeah.
Don't show that in American newspapers.
Well, that's yeah. even on YouTube might get a little
Okay.
There we are. We'll see if this gets struck. I'll let you know.
All right.
You showed boobies. No.
Oh no! Boobs are awesome.
Suddenly we're no longer on Facebook. No. What? No, just kidding. We're on all sorts of platforms, Facebook, Twitter, and of course the Ragin 2 network on YouTube, where we are archived now for your viewing and poking fun at pleasure. So feel free to go over there. And soon, very soon, I know the people at Ragin are desperately working hard at it behind the scenes. We will have a selection of classic Sunday funnies that were on a previous network will be available here for your viewing and listening pleasure as well. We did some great interviews with some great people that we're especially proud of, and other wandering conversations that maybe we're not so proud of, but they'll be up there.
Are you going to edit them?
Some of them, yeah, but not heavily.
Right.
So there's some episodes that might not make it. Some guests that are, not around not around anymore. But anyway, just as time goes on, things change.
You mentioned your graphic novel about when you were ill.
Mm-hmm.
Have you started that, or are you just working?
No, I sure have. I've got it laid out for all the way through my stay at the nursing home. I've got all of the illustrations that I drew, because as soon as I could move my hands and my forearms, I asked for pencil and paper. Freaked the physical therapist out, but I think it was great for me for not just physical therapy, but mental therapy, because I was able to take out a lot of frustration and note the frustrations as we went along. And I've got all of those. I've got all of those scanned in. I've got notes made all the way up to the point where I leave for the nursing home, already in and laid out there. I'm going to do some sequential art for the front and the back of it that cover who I am and why this was the way that it was, and the dreams that I had while I was under and on the respirator, because I was in this reality literally from when they came and picked me up from the emergency room until I woke up in bed off of the respirator. And in between that time, I had some incredibly crazy lucid dreams that people, when I tell them what I dreamt, they're like, really? And
check this out.
Remember that? And it's like, yeah, it's like it happened yesterday.
I saw a documentary the other day, and they were talking about new results from neurological investigations. And they talked about like really hard level kind of drugs that like ayahuasca and what have you, that really trip you out and make you go to different worlds and see different things. And the mainstream thought was that all these drugs, what they did was they lit your brain up, and it made it work overtime. And that's how you came up with all these amazing new worlds and things that were completely bizarre. But apparently what it does is it deadens your brain. So effectively what it's doing is it's allowing you to see reality.
Well, they've
ayahuasca isn't tripping you out. It's deadening the interference.
Well, they found that low-level doses of a lot of these hallucinogenics are real advantageous for mental patients. Because it goes through and calms down the blood chemistry.
Well, the stuff that ayahuasca actually creates is I can't remember the name of the chemical, but actually your I don't know what it's called, the third eye in the middle of the brain. It actually makes it
the pineal gland.
Diatetramine or something like that. It's like that is exactly it. It's that gland that creates it.
Pineal
gland,
so
it effectively it's effectively shown to be part of the mechanism to allow you to interpret the world.
Wow.
So it's all really quite freaky.
Well, it's amazing what you learn once you actually sit there and look at it scientifically,
Yeah. Or if you can, there are really good sources out there.
Yeah.
Not everyone's fake news, and there are some good sources if you go and find them. And there's some amazing things you can listen to while you're sitting on your own in your dungeon drawing. So
yeah. Go ahead, Mike. You were going to say something?
A little disclaimer to the listeners for now and the future. Most of their comics are not made on drugs, except for this guy with his new project.
Yeah, my current project, all of the dreams were drug induced. So, and they were incredibly hard drugs at the time, from what I understand.
They were, yeah. I read somewhere that somebody suggested or asked the question whether Steve Ditko and Jack Kirby were on drugs because of the stuff they produce, and I thought, why can't they just have an imagination that produces that? Why does it have to be drugs and all that kind of stuff? I doubt those two people took drugs.
You know where that came from, though? That sprung up because everybody in the 60s supposedly took drugs.
Yeah, well, they were out doing this 20 years before the 60s, weren't they? So what were they doing then? I think it's ridiculous.
The problem is people that have more difficulty with imagination don't have the imagination to imagine that other people have one.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah,
it's so true. Where's my bell? Here it is. There we are. Absolutely. That and the fact that some of the Marvel writers, Don McGregor, Steve Gerber, I believe, have admitted that they were tripping at the time they were writing some of that stuff.
Tripping balls, man.
And if you ever read Gerber and Gerber, Howard the Ducks or Defenders or any of that, you kind of knew. Yeah.
Howard the Duck has got to be from someone.
And that guy who did the aardvark, what's he called? He did that, didn't he?
Dave Sim?
Yeah. I believe he had a.
I'm not sure how hard he was tripping, but those early Cerebuses are very underrated because he started getting autobiographical with Church and State and that at the during his run. But those early Cerebuses that are satirical treatments of Conan are just hilarious. They still hold up to this day.
I only read the first few issues of Cerebus. I didn't enjoy it at all. I left that one behind.
Mm-hmm.
And now I see these massive volumes of 300 issues all together. So maybe I should pick it up and take a look again.
Well, it's genius on a different level, is what it is.
Yeah.
That the Church and State stuff. Because when you read them individually, you were like, he didn't do anything this issue. He didn't do nothing. But when you sit and you read it all in large volumes, you see that there's a grand scheme to things and that it's actually, he's moving so slow on purpose in order to get points across, in order to build character and all of this. And it's really a masterful work. At least the first through Church and State. And like I said, the early adventures were single issue stories of him bouncing around as almost like a Conan the Barbarian satire.
What's he doing now? Because he finished that, didn't he?
Yeah, he did. He's still doing comics. He does a Cerebus every once in a while. He did I think he did an autobiography of Alex Raymond not too long ago. There's a lot of the comic shops don't carry him because he's very opinionated.
Mm-hmm.
And he's been out long enough to rub a lot of people the wrong way, but he still does comics. He still sells stuff. He's still very popular in a lot of the Canadian up in Canada. He's still real popular. So pardon? Yes.
Popular in Canada,
Yeah, popular in Canada,
Unlike freedom. Oh, sorry, did I say that?
Hey, welcome to the Sunday Funnies, folks, where we talk about the lighter, more whimsical side of comics.
I'm actually being mum on all of this.
This is the 350th show, and we still haven't spoken about funny comics.
And the thing is, to get even more political, if you ever sit and watch Bowling for Columbine, that documentary that Michael Moore did. Michael Moore's from around here, so be kind. But he's got a scene in that documentary where he goes walking into Canadians' homes just walks in because nobody locks their doors. At least back then, they
They
didn't.
do now.
And
Wow.
yeah, I bet they do now more than before. Yeah.
Why were they wanting to be like Michael Moore going into their house? Oh, hi, I'm Michael Moore. I'm going to eat your food.
Yeah, that's just what I was thinking. My grocery bill has just gone up because Michael Moore keeps coming into my kitchens.
No, it's more like, hey, I'm here in Canada and I noticed nobody ever locks their doors, so I thought I'd pop in and say hello.
Well, we didn't until you turned up.
Say,
Mate.
exactly, they lock their doors now.
Yeah, they lock the fridges, not the door.
Oh, hurt me. Anyway,
Give me up some of that poutine there you got. No, wait, what?
yeah, you know, the biggest Canadian import we have around here is Tim Hortons. So,
Oh God,
Never heard of him.
Oh, these American things.
he was a hockey player at one point. That's where you take the stick with the little black puck thing and knock it into it. Yeah, he started a chain of coffee shops because apparently he couldn't wake up well enough in the morning either.
The best thing about hockey is when the Americans play when they used to play the Soviets, and there was a battle, or you see Poland against Russia, and there'd always be a battle at the end of it. So in the middle of it,
that's how you get your aggression out. It's on the ice.
Yeah, especially when it's your mortal enemy. Yeah.
And what else are you gonna do? Curl? Go sweep some stones.
Play bowls.
Oh, it is a fine art. I love curling. I love watching curling. I really do. I love telling people about curling because they look at you with that expression on your face.
But damn, there's no violence.
Ice, brooms, big stones. What?
I'm gonna hit you with a stone.
Get stoned.
Get stoned.
Randy, what do you think? I'm done with the what do you think?
Ragin 2 asks, people write sober? What?
People write sober.
What are you saying, Mike?
I used to go to a camp in Germany where they actually had a curling, I don't know, call it an arena, game, whatever. Like they had a whole setup and you could just go curling for free. It was insane. Like they kept it frozen all year round.
Sure. Why not?
Yeah.
You get great arm muscles that way.
Oh,
not
yeah,
just throwing the stones, but going through and sweeping real fast.
The thing is, 20 years later, I did it as a job, sweeping streets.
Yeah.
Imagine doing a comic about that, curling.
Lord, no, don't get me started.
Just check out manga. There will be one.
Yes, I'm sure there already is one. If they know what curling is, there's a manga about it for sure. When I was in uni, I had some really weird and vivid dreams. No drugs needed, just the stress of deadlines. Area says, yeah. The drugs episode, yeah. Serotonin.
Always good.
Sarah,
who? Exactly. I was gonna name a character that serotonin. Randy, I'm sure somebody's done it by now. Yeah.
I haven't really slept, but I finished this. What do you think?
It's awesome.
Yeah, look great, dude.
Let's blow that up. Boom.
Look at that.
Yeah.
Very nice.
Yeah.
Lovely hair.
Yeah, I'm going to say the hair's good. It's good. Yeah. Well done, Rich.
I'm still getting used to my work schedule, so I'm sleeping maybe 3 hours, and I'm getting up at 2 a.m. and falling asleep at 7.
Yeah.
That sounds hideous.
It is hideous, but I love it.
It's better than sleeping for 6 weeks.
Yeah.
Because there's a period there that when I woke up, my clock was completely gone. And I'd be lucky to sleep for an hour at a time. And then when I woke up, I'm like, oh, I must have dozed off. I swore the clocks were shifting forwards and backwards constantly.
Wow.
Anyway, back to what we were talking about. The one thing that I'm going to do eventually is an underground comic where all of the sound effects and all of the people are named after corporate brands or pharmaceutical drugs.
Yes.
Because every time I see a drug ad on television, there's a backstory to that name. Laputa is an amazing female running around, and every drug that pops up, especially with the weird names that they have for them here, that brand names, in order to make them marketable and sell it. They always come up with these crazy names where it's like the last couple of variants for COVID are named after Transformers. You're not fooling me. Somebody up there is having fun. What sounds deadly? Oh yeah, Omnicron. That'll be
Put something
great.
with a cron at the end of it. Everybody's bound to get upset. Yeah.
What's even now the latest variant that just popped up last week? What's the most dangerous thing that we've had that's associated? Because we got to come up with a name for this new variant, even though it's probably weaker than the last variant. Delta. Oh, it's Deltacron.
Yeah, no, Deltacron. I heard there's another one coming called Putincron.
Putincron? Yeah. I posted a Putin on Facebook the other day. It was a place for people to store their dog crap. It was a Putin.
You put the Putin. I like that one where they've got Putin on a Ritz cracker. Putin on the Ritz.
I think I said that on Tuesday. That's the entire conflict. Somebody's going to do a parody song, Putin on the Fritz.
Yeah.
Full of whatever.
I'm sure Weird Al's working on it as we speak.
I mean, the guy is an awful despot, but you got to give him his due. He ended COVID.
Yeah. Nobody talks about COVID anymore.
Nobody talks about COVID. No.
That seriously has me worried about my book. It does. I'm like, by the time I get it out, everybody will be wanting anti-Russian stuff. Yeah.
Randy, with all due respect, I'm actually falling asleep.
No problem, Rich. Sorry to be putting you to sleep, but
thank you so much.
Anytime, buddy. You're always welcome in or out. And I do want to publicly apologize for not sending you a link on Tuesday. I thought I had sent it.
Don't be. It's okay.
Or Wednesday, on Wednesday show. Yeah, anytime you want in, you bug me. Okay.
I will. Thank you, sir. You guys.
You're always welcome in. Good. All right, Rich.
Yeah, you too, mate.
Have a great day.
See you, Rich.
Okay, man.
It's what, 3 p.m, almost 4 p.m, where Rich is, right?
No, it's 3.
It's 2 o'clock
for now.
5 to 2.
Yeah, 5 to 2.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Okay.
Because you're an hour ahead again, so we'll be 2 weeks in between probably where things are weird.
Things are always weird.
And that's for sure. And you look great in that picture.
Yeah.
What? Oh yeah.
Yeah, it was my niece's 30th birthday. Well, 10 years ago now. So I went as I'll show you again. I went as Dr. Manhattan.
That is awesome.
Mm-hmm.
But I didn't go
Manhattan. Yeah, okay.
Manhattan. Yeah. I didn't.
Only you had clothes on. Good for you.
I had clothes on. Yeah, I would have been probably just about getting out now if I'd gone naked.
That was a big thing over here in the States. Everybody was ducking every time Dr. Manhattan turned.
So it wasn't the proper cosplay, right?
No.
It was an earlier version before he realized clothes were unnecessary. Yeah, that's what it was.
Before they started burning off.
Yeah. Joe says sometimes Ragin 2 Broadcast Network, it is not required to be sober. LMAO to write, I would imagine. The death of Alex Raymond. Really interesting. Not just about Alex Raymond. It kind of gets into a lot of other stuff as well. Just check. There is in fact, a curling manga. Frog G, thank you. Thanks for that info. I'm sure there is. Yes.
Knew there would be.
Wow.
Manga's ruling the world at the moment.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Joe says, "Don't tempt me. I do a comic about pro wrestling. I can figure out how to do a curling centered comic. Probably name it Sweep the Ice. Yeah. Just call it Sweep. Keep it simple. Sweep.
Yeah.
Sweet.
Yeah.
I have a theory about manga. and why it's so popular. Not just see here, it really bugs me here in the States because I think it really adds, because I taught cartooning after school for years, and there's a whole contingency of kids now that are reading manga books, and because the Japanese are picky, they run the books in reverse from right to left, up to down. And I think that's adding to a lot of kids' reading problems, to tell you the truth, because I have a problem reading any kind of manga that comes out because I have to stop because I'm constantly going to the left instead of to the right.
So that must be why it didn't make any sense to me then.
That could be.
Yeah.
Yes. You have to read it in reverse.
I noticed when Marvel published Akira, which is superb, as we know, when they published that, most people in it were always left-handed.
Well, that was
because they flopped the pages.
Yes, that was flopped and meant to be read for an American audience. Yeah,
it's good.
But the reason manga is so popular here in the at least here in the States, in my theory, is because Marvel and DC suck so much.
Yeah,
that's true.
And the readers, especially, and they chased off the demographic of a young female audience, or anybody that wanted to read anything other than male power fantasies.
Yeah.
So that they're out looking, and they run across Ranma 1/2 and Naruto and all of these great imaginative properties, even Dragon Ball Z, which is simple superhero fight over and over and over and over again. And they want it, they read it, even though they're reading it in reverse. So nothing matches the imagination of Attack on Titan. Holy crap! That I sat and watched that show, and it's just, you sit there and. That's another property that's almost like curling. Have you ever seen Attack on Titan, Glenn?
No,
like curling.
You should sit and watch the cartoon, watch the anime, because for me to describe it to you would be like trying to describe curling to somebody, who lives in the desert.
It's bonkers.
Well, that must be why kids today don't know we've actually been to the moon, because they're reading backwards. The timeline, history is going backwards. So, you know what I mean? They're reading life backwards. So we've not got to the moon yet.
Well, we were chased off of that. Never mind. Let's not go there. We were chased off of the moon.
Get off and don't come back.
Pretty much.
What's that great? I don't know whether it's true or not, obviously, but I've heard that when Buzz and Neil landed on the moon, they were on the moon for 23 hours, and they went outside for an hour and a half, going all that way just for an hour and a half. And before they went out, NASA said that you need to have they'd already been up 20 hours. You can imagine how hyped up they were. They said, we want you to have an 8-hour sleep period before you go out. And Buzz Aldrin said, are you joking? We're going out now. And they said, and then when they came back in, or one of the times they came back in, Neil Armstrong told NASA, allegedly, I don't know whether it's true, that spacecraft were on the crater watching them.
Yeah.
Now you see, my mum used to tell me that story.
Right. And Buzz Aldrin said, we're going out again. And NASA said, you can't go out again. And one of them, Neil Armstrong, I think it was, said, how are you going to stop us? And they went out again. I don't know whether it's true or not.
My mum said to me that, I mean, she's gone now, bless her, but she told me the story while she was watching, because they had live feeds, didn't they? But the feeds weren't actually live. They were actually shot off feeds that were coming into NASA. That's why all the footage is so bad and so grainy.
So they could edit it at the last minute if they had to.
She reiterated something along those lines, and there was a blackout while they were on the moon.
Yeah.
And it was basically, they just swapped everything over, and you got a blackout. And she was saying, I swear that's what went on. But it seems to be that it's such a sketchy story. It's difficult to.
Well, they also had 2 channels to communicate.
Yeah.
They had a B channel, but that was supposedly for medical things and things like that. But they kept switching to B channel. I think, and I don't know what I don't know. But
they switched to the B channel when they told them that Santa Claus was on the way.
That's
and
right.
that was their code, wasn't it?
That's
for
right.
Something else.
That's Jim Lovell said that on Apollo 8 when they first went to the moon and orbited the moon. He said that, be advised, there is a Santa Claus. And and the world thinks it's because it was Christmas time when they were there. They were there on Christmas Day, weren't they? 1968.
Yeah.
And apparently that was a code. Be advised. I don't know. Again, I don't know if it's true or not.
But then
it wouldn't surprise me.
Yeah, I mean, if you've seen the UAP stuff that's been coming out over the last 5 years, from over at the West Coast, and there's a lot of weird stuff going on at the moment.
Yeah.
And of course, nobody takes notice because we've had 2 years of COVID.
There's been weird stuff going on for years. I mean, there's been UFO
Yeah.
sightings since before the 40s.
Yeah, but the American government have actually admitted to it now.
Yeah. Now
that's
they have.
the difference, isn't it? That's a massive sea change.
Once they get backed against the wall, all of the major governments have mentioned that there's flying objects out there they can't come up with a logical explanation for.
Yeah.
But, for us, if it's something, the first thing we want to do is blame the Russians. The Russians want to blame us. And China sits back and points and laughs and lands on the moon.
And they get no reports of what they're doing.
Yeah.
Well, that's where the Foo Fighters comes from, isn't it? When the Allied bombers were going over, there were these aircraft flying in and amongst them and at super speed. Because at first they wondered whether the Germans had is it the Messerschmitt 262, the first jet fighter? They thought it was those, but those things were basically. The 262s were basically suicide planes because they were zipping about everywhere. And but these things, these Foo Fighters, were flying alongside these bombers and going in between them and around them and all that.
A lot of them were orbs, weren't they?
Yes, that's right. Yeah.
Well, you go back in any culture's history or mythology, you're going to see space beings of one form or another. All of the Greek gods lived up in the clouds and. The angels came down depending upon how you feel about the Bible, and that's an alien being right there.
You've seen those guys on the hieroglyphs with the handbags, haven't you? The little handbags that they're carrying. Have you seen those? Have you not seen those?
What?
They're like little bags, like little handbags. Like ladies. And if you look at this stuff on the hieroglyphs and the pyramids in Egypt. They've all got those, but then you've got those on Easter Island, and you've got them in Japan.
Yeah,
they're carrying the same bag.
Well,
that's a suggestion for a pre Ice Age civilization, though, isn't it? I mean, the amount of evidence that's coming out slowly, because obviously the mainstream, because of our socio-Christian past, and the way that the mainstream wanted information to come out. The dates for humans being in North America have been pushed back to 200,000 years or something now.
Yeah.
Well,
and they weren't even gonna accept that it was even 12 or 13,000 years. But with Göbekli Tepe, with all of these
that's right,
ancient civilizations, it really is starting to look, if you go check out Graham Hancock, it really is starting to look like there was a pre-Ice Age civilization that had at least nautical, geo-nautical ability.
Yeah.
We figure, from what I understand, that the Earth has a near cataclysmic event every 12,000 years.
Yeah.
And they think that comes down to a mini nova off of the sun.
There is that one
triggers
as well,
that triggers an ice age. But I've seen a number of sites where they've been going through the hieroglyphs in the States, in New Mexico, and they're looking at all of the different designs that are on these cave walls and on the side of cliffs, and they're comparing it to micronovas and sun experiences, aurora borealises that came that far down.
They're flares, aren't they?
Due to magnetic
solar flares,
incursions. Solar flares.
Because we had one late 1800s apparently that if it was around now would have fried a lot of our technology.
Yeah, that's the Carrington. They call that the Carrington event. Yeah.
And if you look at the work of Robert Schoch, because he's a geologist and was involved in dating the Sphinx as being more than 7,000 years old, and actually he thinks it may be closer to 15 to 18,000 years old, and there's even evidence to suggest it goes further back than that. And that his view, because Graham Hancock's view and some other people's view, is that there was a comet hit the Earth, and bits of it came round 1,000 years later, and that's why you have the Younger Dryas, which was about 12,000 years ago, and it leads to stories of floods and what have you, which is what you get in the Bible and the Sumerian texts, and that's all been given to us effectively by the survivors of a pre Ice Age civilization. And his view is it wasn't, or Robert Schoch's view is it wasn't a comet. His view is that it could well have been a solar flare, a really, really extreme one that effectively created an ice melt and geological issues.
A lot of them are looking at micronovas, that the sun breaks off its skin once every 12,000 years. We just haven't experienced it because we're almost at that 12,000 year mark.
Yeah. Can I just say that you probably know this, but last year, and we're going to start doing it again, I co-hosted the Truth Mongers with Ted Davis on Ted Davis Artistry about all this kind of stuff. And we had some really good, interesting talks about this. We're going to bring that show back. So,
cool.
The Truth Mongers. Truth Mongers. Watch out for that.
Yeah, it's really fascinating because it's so, on one hand, you'd think it's really fantastical. And yet on the other hand, there's too much evidence out there for it not to be real.
There's a lot of evidence.
They're even looking at ruins in Antarctica that were ancient temples because the poles have shifted. Yeah. They're looking at structures on the moon and Mars that look too obvious not to have been intelligent or made by an intelligent race.
Yeah.
Not necessarily man-made, but we could have been, over hundreds of thousands of years, we could have migrated off as the sun has cooled and the green zone has shifted. We
I think there is a lot of evidence for alien contact, though.
Yeah,
there's a lot of evidence.
There's too much for it not to have happened.
I mean, if you read Ezekiel in the Bible, he's either on drugs or
wheels with eyes within them, wheels within wheels, gyroscopes. Yeah, all sorts of crazy.
Funny comics, Randy.
Funny comics.
Well, there's been comics made off of the Bible.
Definitely.
What about the famous one, the Jack Kirby one, the Face on Mars?
Yeah, we did.
Way
that.
before the Face on Mars was discovered.
That's right. Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
But it's
20 years
uncanny.
before. Yeah, 20 years before the Viking landed and photographed it.
Yeah,
and he was
uncanny.
doing that story. So we did.
Unless of course we all live in a sort of a matrix building system whereby we can effectively create future events. I mean, that would be a bit freaky, but
well,
it would explain things like that. Wouldn't it?
Would, yeah. Maybe it's like you said about the that drug that takes down the wall, lets you see things.
Yeah. Maybe some people's imaginations just bypass that wall. Maybe Jack's imagination bypassed the wall.
Yeah. So. Well, that's brain chemistry and constant training of the brain. Because Kirby's had been doing work since 14, 15 years old, plus all of the reading that he did, plus the even just the times that he went through just spurred a lot of that up and
but don't forget he was doing that stuff when these breakthroughs were being made. It wasn't common reading then, was it? All this solar flares and all this stuff.
Well, it was the thing of comic books and pulp magazine science fiction. Yeah.
Well, I think that's what all of us here are artists and writers, and I believe that we have a special inlet to like at least the imagination. Like Russ was saying earlier about people can't imagine why people have imagination because they can't imagine having an imagination, and I think that's true. Yeah, and I think artists, and I think that's one of the reasons why I'll say this: writers and artists are first against the wall when the revolution comes because we tell it as it is.
Yeah.
People don't like it.
We have insight.
Yeah, everything starts with a spark.
And we're articulate. We can tell people what's going on and show them, draw it, and write it. Whereas most people can't do that. So,
or we can imagine it and have other practical people make it real.
Yeah,
there's been great documentaries on how our science changed after Star Trek.
Yeah. It's like H.G. Wells.
Exactly. I was just going to say Wells.
That. When was that? 1889.
Yeah, 1880s through the 1910s. He had such an imagination.
Voyage to the Moon. 3 men in a spacecraft called Columbia.
Yeah.
That
was Jules Verne from the Earth to the Moon.
Jules Verne, Jules Verne, yeah.
Jules Verne, same thing. Only if you go and you read some of that material, he doesn't have much of a story structure. Right. A lot of these guys were writing for the pulp magazines by the word. They were getting paid by the word. So if you go and read War of the Worlds, which I'm a huge fan of,
Yeah.
Very wordy though, isn't it?
He goes through and describes the Martians completely different twice.
Yeah.
Right.
And because he had a girl across town, he had to keep happy. Anyway, but
so he was describing her, was he?
no, he was making a little extra coin
Slavering
to keep her in an
thick
apartment
lips.
because he was into free love at that point.
Aren't we all?
And that was really but that was a bizarre concept back then, during Victorian times. But you go and look at all of the advancements that he did in War of the Worlds, biochemical warfare, laser technology.
Yeah.
There's even a scene at the end when he's running to London where he pokes his head inside of a cylinder, and he sees that the Martians packed a lunch. There was a race of gray aliens with black almond-like eyes that they had frozen there that they were eating along the way.
I didn't know that.
Yes, I didn't either until I did the research. He ended up leaving all of his notes to the University of Illinois, and there's a great almost textbook, an annotated version of War of the Worlds where they tear all of his stories apart, or the entire book apart. And it's just, they did the same thing on Time Machine, but I never bought it. It's a very expensive college textbook.
And if you imagine or remember that that's, was supposedly a work of fiction, and look at Tesla around that time. Tesla was doing this stuff, wasn't he? He had all these machines and all these ideas, and he got ripped off like anybody else seems to do. He was that way, artistic that way.
Well, he didn't grasp. He wasn't there for the money. He was there for the scientific advancement. And greedy people that were there for the money took advantage of it.
That's right. Yeah.
But you go back in HG's work, genetic mutation with Isle of Dr. Moreau, Time Machine, which still hasn't been proven, but may still be possible. I think it's impossible, but that's just my theory on it.
Yeah, but don't forget, it was impossible to fly
with GMOs. Say what?
It was impossible for us to fly at one point.
Yes.
And then I'm going to say that what was it, 1903, the Wright brothers, and then 66 years later we were on the moon.
Yeah.
So we dreamt about flying forever, and then when we could, it took 66 years to get to the moon, which is incredible. So I think we can do anything.
Yeah.
We just haven't found a way yet.
Yep.
Simple as that.
Or been able to stay here long enough to actually bring it to fruition without having to fend, for survival.
Yeah.
That's the big thing, especially if we're on a 12,000 cycle, 12,000 year cycle.
Or if it's suppressed as well, because somebody wants to just make a load of money.
That's very true.
Because this God guy seems to want a lot of money, doesn't he?
Yeah.
The Vatican and all that stuff,
And who knows what's in that vault? So,
well, they've got at least 3 Leonardos in there, apparently, that nobody's ever seen but has been logged.
Yeah.
So why can't we see them? What do they show? That's the point, isn't it? What do they show? What might they show?
Well, you know what the History Channel would say? Aliens.
Yeah.
It's aliens.
It's always
aliens. Well, that's it, you see. Make it a laugh, and then everybody laughs.
Yeah.
It's like the Kennedy assassination. You look at the evidence on that one, and there's no way that Lee Oswald was in a window firing a rifle. I don't care what anybody says, apart from the fact there's a photograph of him in the doorway while it's going on. So he wasn't.
The phrase "conspiracy theorist" was dreamt up by the CIA.
It was, yeah. That's right.
Yeah.
That's
in
right.
order to distract people from the truth.
That's right.
Yep.
Genius.
Yeah.
Genius.
Absolute. Yep.
Anyway, funny comics.
Funny comics.
Funny comics.
Russ, did they still publish the Beano?
I think they do.
I've not seen it for ages.
Might be time to visit the newsstand.
I heard it had really good numbers as well.
Right.
I know it did. So
I know they changed the look of Dennis the Menace, haven't they? They changed him. He's more up to date and everything.
Well, we just lost. We lose Marv. We just lost. Sorry, Marv.
But that's
He said he had to be going.
I don't know. More recently, I've been more sort of open to the way some things are being changed. I think it's in an attempt to look at myself and say, am I being too rigid? Am I not accepting that things do change, even though I like things in a certain way.
Yeah, but it depends why they're being changed, doesn't it?
I am absolutely with you there. Yes, it does depend why they're being changed. But then, sometimes you just got to go with it.
Mhm.
I mean, it's difficult for me on things like the Beano because I was never really into that kind of comic when I was a kid.
I'm the same.
It was all superheroes and stuff. So
yeah, I'm the same.
Well, even like speaking of superheroes, look at how 2000 AD has changed. It's like, come on, guys, your old stuff was great.
Yeah, I mean, but isn't that exactly like you were talking about humor in the States? Isn't that just a watering down of anything that isn't part of the mainstream acceptance?
Yeah, it's like what's happened with the Marvel and DC here too. They find an artist and everybody has to copy him. Everybody has to emanate Jim Lee instead of have their own individual style.
Yeah.
It seems over in 2000 AD, almost everybody has to emanate Simon Bisley.
Yeah.
Over and over and over. It's like, dudes, come on. It used to have some.
I like
great
Simon Bisley. Yeah, I like Simon Bisley, but I only want to see one strip of Simon Bisley, and then I want to see a strip of other people. Yeah.
It's like you can only eat steak for so long, and before you want McDonald's or something like that.
Yeah.
Not Glenn.
I'm not McDonald's, but
never
when it comes to McDonald's.
Yeah. No.
Sorry,
almost
guys.
it once.
I will have to go. We are getting power problems here. I don't have power right now, so I will have to see what is going on because Linda is making the lunch, and we just lost power right now. I don't know why.
We noticed you've been working in the dark the whole time you've been on, but that's okay.
No,
all right, Mark.
I had power, but I like to when I'm drawing, I like to draw with my tablet. On.
Yeah. Do you have anything you want to promote at the last minute before you go out the door?
Announcements will be made shortly,
forthcoming,
maybe tomorrow. Yeah, and yeah. Thank you so much, guys, for having me, and take care,
Marv,
everybody.
you're always
and
welcome.
I have to.
Yep.
Thank you. I have to go. I really have to go. Thank you,
mate.
See you, Marv.
Bye.
Take care.
Take care. Thank you. Thank you.
Let's check the chat again here.
I don't know. Those Mediterraneans.
Broad G, that's they're having
the
a rough
power
time
was
power.
all power. Oh God, my mum and dad's house in Spain is like, there's always power cuts and stuff.
Yeah.
Well, it's like around here, you're working off of old infrastructure that nobody bothered to keep updating. So it's going to take a little wear and tear. Well, we're supposed to get a small CME this evening, about 7:30 my time. That they're looking at to see exactly how much weaker our magnetic field has become, to see what kind of a rip through might happen or where the auroras go. They're worried if we get another Carrington event right now that they had back in 1983 that literally melted the telegraph wires here in the state. We only had telegraph back at that point. Wow. But considering how much we rely on electronics now, we have that event again, and we're going to be thrown into the dark ages almost literally.
Wow.
So they know those things are cyclicable, and that the sun right now is ramping up. So
I think the UK has got had some program for that where they were going through where effectively they could shut the system down at a moment's notice. If they had
if they see it coming,
so they could shut it down, wait for it to pass, and then turn it all back on again.
The cool thing is that if you're watching the sun, you have about 18 to 36 hours, depending upon how hard the blast is, before it gets to us.
Because it doesn't travel at light speed.
No.
Wow.
That whole part of science just fascinates the heck out of me. So
yes,
I've got a couple of sites on YouTube that I watch constantly.
Did you see that thing on YouTube about the history of the universe when they did this sort of time thing, and it was like 1 million years from now, and it goes what will happen with all the stars and the galaxies? Yeah. It's incredible. I don't know how they know this, but it's obviously just projection. But this number keeps racking up at the bottom. It goes into the trillions of years from now. This will happen, and then eventually all the stars will go out, and it'll just be black. And then
that was the Roger Penrose theory of circular. Effectively, instead of there being a big bang and a big crunch, okay, what you do is you have waves. So you have the big bang, okay, and then when everything, so dark matter and dark energy is making everything stretch apart, and eventually in trillions of years' time, all the energy is gone. Everything's really disparate and far, far apart. Atoms are literally pulled apart because everything's stretched to such a degree. Yeah. And it's at that moment that there is no mass. Well, in physics, when there is no mass, there is no time. When there is no time, there is no distance. So infinitely big can be infinitely small. Mm-hmm. And at that point, you have everything in the universe at an infinitely big, infinitely small. And because it's infinitely small, boom, you get another big bang. Mm-hmm.
Well, there were two theories, weren't there? And this was probably in the 70s. You had the Big Bang, or you had the steady state, where the steady state was. Yeah. So if you think about it, they're both true. Like you just said, it all expands and expands, and then goes to a singularity, and then boom again, because it can't contain itself, because all that energy and mass. And in Randy's book, you can see Hatch with his singularity. He gets one he sends for one through the post. And you see what happens with that.
That's I like that. That's random. I'll have a singularity in the post, please.
Yeah, he's reading the magazine, and he gets a free singularity with every black hole. So he orders a black hole, and as Ted, and he can read it
a bit ago. Yeah, hey Ted, hope you're doing all right.
Ted. And it's all there in Randy's anthology book.
Yeah, that you can get if you order that Long Shots campaign. You'll be able to read that story in there. Yeah. But nowhere else. Anyway, well, not for now until Glenn reprints it in his collection.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah,
I'm gonna reprint all my stuff as well. I think.
You should do.
Yeah, I'm gonna keep all my stuff in print. Yeah. But
I'm seriously
finding that channel for it.
Yeah, I'm seriously considering Amazon actually to print the books.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So so I may not even go for a crowdfunder for the third book.
All right,
may just put it together and go straight to Amazon.
But
I'll only do that. Once so I'm going to re-edit and re-release the other stuff in a different format for Amazon.
Keep talking. I'm still here.
Yeah. So that what you want to make sure is the people that backed you as a in the an Indiegogo or Kickstarter or whatever, is that they get something unique that will never be printed again, and that's absolutely what they'll get in book 2 and book 1 and book 2. But I'll rehash the stuff and send it out as a slightly different book for book 1 and book 2, and then book 3 I plan. So all 3 of them I want to go out to Amazon, and book 3 I'd like to make it so that it's cheap enough that I can give it back to my backers. So I can basically say, look, backers, you don't have to back me anymore. Here it is, $9.99 free postage at Amazon.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
And so it is a gift back to as well as opening up the audiences, it's a gift back for them. And at the same time, after that, then I'd want to do a compendium in black and white and put that out as, I think I'll play on the essential word. Essential only death can save us.
Essential,
and make it black and white and see where it goes. Just, see how it happens. Because you still have to market when you know this. You've got books on Amazon anyway, Glenn. But I'll still have to market and what have you. But just the fact that the shop window is just so damn big.
Yeah,
I think it's definitely worth at least investigating it and seeing how I can get down there. But something you do is you do have to commit. You do have to have multiple books so that you're, a substantial creator. That otherwise, if you just put one out, you're just peeing in the wind. So
the good thing about Amazon now is that they're doing hardback.
Yeah.
Amazing. None of mine are in hardback on Amazon yet, but I'm gonna look at it. See, I might order myself one and see what the quality is.
Mm. Well, the print-on-demand industry is constantly shifting, growing by leaps and bounds as the necessity arises.
I'll see how my essentials one do, and then I might do like a slightly larger one in hardback.
Yeah.
Right. So I have to make a savings account for you and Daphne now.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. I tell you what, the indie stuff's going to take over the world. You know, we've said this before, haven't we? It's some of the stuff out there now. You know, it's really good, and
you let one of these smaller properties hit large on the merchandising front, whether it's Cyber Frog or Death, Only Death Can Save Us, or whatever, and you'll see the entire market explode.
Yeah,
it's only a matter of time, you know. And the larger corporations out there just don't care enough to try to keep that from happening anymore.
Right.
No,
you know,
they make their money the way they make their money, and you know,
and
to
even
degree,
the majority
you just gotta accept it.
Yeah, even the majority of the secondary publishers are chasing their tails so much that they're not really looking at what's happening on the market. That's it's a very interesting time to be doing sequential art as an independent producer right now.
Yeah, I actually think you're going to see things change radically over the next 5 years. I mean, they've already radically changed anyway the previous 5 years, but I think you're going to see it again, and I think you're going to see a lot more. Let's say, I think you're going to see a lot more IP freedom.
Yeah,
because it's going to be the only way that you can make money out of it, and I think you're going to see bigger publishers start handing out licenses to other publishers to say, right, okay, run with it. You pay us a fee, and you take the headache, which is exactly what Disney used to do.
Yeah,
they just used to say, right, okay, you want Darkwing Duck, you know, we all know that one, Darkwing Duck. You pay us the fee. Off you go. Do what you like with it, as long as we get, you know, a little bit of editorial look over it, and we get the last say. And it's got to be the way forward, because I mean, especially when you see like just one big corporate gobbling up another big corporate. And
well, I would happily love to have control over DC's reprint vault from about 1960 and before, because I can make hard money on that. And what I would do is really inexpensive newsprint versions and kick them all out in the 5 and Belows and the end run stores so that the kids can read them. That would build up such an audience for comics. It would make their head spin if they bothered to think about it and do it, you know. But
unfortunately, you know, comics are down at the bottom of the pile at the moment. That's the problem.
And they're making so much money off of comics, and they're disrespecting the art form. I mean, the original art form of it, the imagination behind it, and all they want to do is go through and garden it, like, you know, take out and most of the time they're taking the weeds instead of the actual fruit and turning it into movies, you know.
Yeah, although I have to say that Batman movie is supposed to be pretty good.
Oh, and Moon Knight's coming out at the end of March on Disney Plus.
Knight looks,
holy crap, that looks amazing.
That looks really good.
I saw the trailer for that, and I'm like, yes, but what Moon Knight might do is what I'm hoping is Moon Knight might draw some attention to some of these old pulp characters, because that's really what Moon Knight was based off of, is your Shadows and your Doc Savage and that level of action and fun. If they maintain that on that show, it might re-spark a whole lot of those old pulp era characters to come back. But they've always needed to come back with a little bit of quality. I mean, come on, Alec Baldwin as the Shadow, please. You know,
I didn't mind that so much.
I didn't. It wasn't a bad movie, but it was Alec Baldwin.
I don't think he'll be doing a lot now, will he?
Yeah.
No.
Let's see a serious revision of the Phantom. You know, that would be nice.
Who's playing the Batman in this one? The new one.
Pattinson.
Twilight, the guy from Twilight.
Yeah, the guy from Twilight.
He's actually apparently, by all accounts, he's done a good job.
When the Twilight movies, the Twilight movies were based off of really bad fan fiction novels by an authoress who really had no reason to be writing. You know, it's not like a J.K. Rowling or anything that actually sat and studied.
That's a statement, isn't it?
But damn it, she made a bucket load of money.
My opinion. Yeah, she made a buck. She made a lot of money.
Yeah,
absolutely,
made a lot of money.
And she caught the tip of the wave of young adult novels as it was flying through, and showed everybody how to do it very badly. So we ended up with 50 Shades of Grey and all of this mess. But everybody associated with that film, from anybody that had actually sat and read the source material that was above the age of maturity, that were mature or above or had any idea about writers, they could never treat those characters seriously, or those actors that were in that film. And here comes, and both the male and female leads on those films have become great actors. And Pattinson got the role of Bruce Wayne. The male lead in the Twilight films was Bruce Wayne. Right. But before that, he had done a couple of other independent films where he showed everybody he could actually act.
Yeah, he's there has been some criticism laid at his portrayal of Bruce Wayne, but I don't know. I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt. I think it's all about the fact that it's like year two, it's sort of a cross between year one, year two of Batman, and that maybe he's still not sure how to portray himself as Bruce Wayne. And actually, the character in the film is not Bruce Wayne playing Batman; it's Batman playing Bruce Wayne. But at the moment that the Batman film is being shot or is being told the story, he hasn't found his Bruce Wayne yet. And I really want to see it. It's got some fabulous reviews, it's just the only thing that I find a little bit to say is a 15, which is great because it's a darker Batman. It's we all love a bit of dark Batman, but I do often miss the idea of having a lighter Batman.
You said Batman was a 15.
This one is, I think it's a 15.
See, over here in the States, you have a different movie rating system than we have.
Ah, right. Okay. But it's, the one thing I have noticed is the adverts on the TV at the moment, on like YouTube. There is so much Batman stuff everywhere. Yeah. I mean, they are leaning into Batman. And
who's the villain?
It's the Riddler, but it's not the Riddler as you've ever seen him before.
It's more of a...
So it's not the Riddler.
It's kind of a cross between...
Not your Riddler.
It's kind of a cross between the... Seven. It's a bit like Seven and... what was that? Is it the Scorpion Mose? Or no. I can't remember what it was. But it's a little bit darker, but... apparently the Penguin's really good in it, and again, it's you got to. I'm actually, I've said this before. I give far more leeway to films than a lot of comic book fans do, because firstly, I love a good explosion, and I'm very shallow. Okay, I love a popcorn film. All right,
yeah.
But secondly, there's no way that they're ever gonna make the comic in a film, because they've got to get to a much broader audience. It's got to be something that all kinds of people want to see, not just fans of comics. So you must be sensitive in your reviews of these things, and be willing to say it's a version of. So the MCU. Most of the films in the MCU I enjoyed. Most of the films in the MCU I enjoyed. But it wasn't the real 616. It wasn't the stuff I grew up with. And I'm cool with that because I've got the comics and I've got the films. Yeah. Okay. And it's the same with Batman. Nolan's Batman was effectively James Bond in a cowl, but it didn't matter. I really enjoyed it. It was what it was. Yeah. It was like an Elseworlds. And I have a feeling that Warner Brothers and DC are now going into the Elseworlds part of their books, because they're making stories in films that aren't necessarily connected, and that's such a good idea, because I think that's why it comes out under one umbrella, but brilliant stories.
I think that's why you're seeing the multiverse concept come up so far so fast. Yeah. Not just that, but because it gives them an excuse to throw 3 Spider-Men together and make a real big ton of money.
I haven't seen that yet, but I am desperate to see it because
it is surprisingly better than what I thought it was going to be. Yeah, it was really good.
I'm more than happy for it to be, real sort of shockingly bad. I don't care.
No, it's
just
not,
having
it's
all
not
three
bad
of them
at
on
all,
the film.
actually. It's not bad at all.
Wouldn't the exception be to that would be Watchmen, because that was more or less bang on, wasn't it, from the comic?
Yeah,
Watchmen. I know they left the freighter out and all that kind of thing, but basically,
I'm with you.
What's in the comic.
I'm with you on that. I know that writer, what's his name?
Nolan.
No, the writer of Watchmen.
Alan Moore.
Moore, yeah, he didn't like it.
No.
But
I don't think he's seen it. I don't think he's seen it, has he?
No, I don't think he. I don't think he sat through it either. I think he was so disgusted that he.
Yeah.
Just threw his
But
hands
as a reader, I read the comic, and actually, wasn't it Snyder that did that? I thought that visually, it was kind of like watching the comic as a storyboard. It was. I thought it was excellent. I really enjoyed it, and I thought it was close enough to the comic that actually it was probably one of the better, versions of a comic book as a film. Like I say, I'm quite sort of relaxed as to how close it is. Obviously,
considering the content. Go ahead.
Considering the content, but back in the day when you had a Spider-Man thing on the telly and all he did was beat up crooks, it's like, no, that's boring. I want a proper villain. I want a proper super villain. And they could never really do comics justice. And they've been able to do that since 2000 with CGIs and what have you. I know a lot of people hate CGI, but it's in a lot of ways, it's the only way to make it work. And
what's really cool, what's really cool about the Spider-Man movie is that the different movie versions play off of each other.
Yes, I mean that's
and that you have the super villains talking to each other, and they're that's the Electro from the Garfield movie talking to Dr. Octopus from the Tobey Maguire movie, and they're still in the same personality. They're just arguing back and forth.
The thing is that Sony have managed to make their own Spider-Verse.
Yes,
it's not the Spider-Verse of the comics. It is not Marvel. Okay.
Yeah.
But it does have the core elements of the things that we love from the comics.
But so really, if they hadn't sat there and allowed the animated version to come out first, they wouldn't have known that made money, because that animated movie shocked them all that it made as much money as it made.
Absolutely brilliant. And do you know what?
It was obviously amazing.
There's a lot of arguments about changing things and changing characters' identities and all that kind of stuff. How progressive, I mean, if you want to use that word, I don't like that word, but how progressive was Into the Spider-Verse? And it didn't matter. I loved it. I absolutely loved it. And it was playing with identities. It was playing with the Spider-Man, playing with the Spider-Man universe. It was
over and
all
over
kinds
again.
of different people over and over and over again. And it absolutely worked. You know why it didn't work? Because it just let you have a story. It didn't preach at you.
Yep.
Okay. It just said, here you go. Here's all the diversity that you can take in one sitting. And it was absolutely stunning. It was brilliant.
But how radical was that? I was sitting there watching the cartoon going, they should have just filmed this.
Yeah.
How come they didn't they could have just done it like a Roger Rabbit to it and brought the cartoony elements in as animated and filmed Miles Morales as live action and gotten away with it. But they will eventually.
They will.
Did you get to see the cartoon, Glenn?
Say again.
Did you see the Spider-Verse cartoon?
No, I've not seen that.
Worth your time to look at it.
Right.
Yeah,
okay.
Because really the whole thing is literally a love letter to comics. Right. And all of the different versions that Spider-Ham is even in it. The pig Spider even runs through it as a Looney Tunes type character, which is amazing. But I believe it won an Academy Award for Best Animated Feature because it deserved it. Because it sat there and looked at Spider-Man, looked at the concept of Spider-Man, the different concepts of Spider-Man in different cultures, and then never lost the idea that it was from a comic book. You had all of this little comic motif running through it constantly, little caption balloons, little panel separations and things like that. Absolute genius. It was a great cartoon that you can sit there and watch over and over and over again.
It was inspired. It was brilliant.
It had Miles Morales in it, which is a black Puerto Rican kid that ended up becoming Spider-Man. but it was explained he was replacing the Spider-Man there because apparently there always had to be a Spider-Man. But he breaks down the multiverse, and the actual Peter Parker that comes through is pudgy, he's overweight, he's got emotional problems because he's been doing it for so long, and he's trying to tell Miles, that this great power comes great responsibility. And then all these other Spider-Man or Spider-Man influenced versions start popping in. There's a noir Spider-Man that I think Nicolas Cage did the voice work on.
Spider-Gwen turns
out. He's all pulpy and serious. Yeah, Spider-Gwen pops in. There's a little, even an anime version of Spider-Man that pops in with a little robot.
Oh, with the oh God, no, brilliant.
It just is an amazing, and you brain check through the whole thing. It's got a different version of Kingpin, a totally different version of Dr. Octopus in it. And you just sit there and just groove on it because it's that good of a cartoon. It's just really entertaining.
If
amazingly
that's what
entertaining.
People should be doing in comics.
Yes.
That stuff. That stuff. If you want to change what's going on, if you want to go grab new markets, grow. Don't just change for the sake of it.
And the coolest moment, and I'll spoil just a hint of it, of the Spider-Man movie, of the last Tom Holland movie. It's got Holland and Garfield pointing at Tobey Maguire and going, "Those webs are coming out of you? How the hell does that work?"
So just so cool. But
and then and then they're sitting here a couple of minutes later. They're like, "Is that kind of like?" No. Do you ever run out of web fluid?
But that's why I was saying to you, I think it is worthwhile being open-minded as you can be, and seeing change as a good thing. Just exactly as Glenn is saying, what's the reasons behind it? Not change for change's sake, but change for growth, change for new markets to keep the medium going.
Change for entertainment's worth.
Yeah, definitely.
And
definitely.
not for propaganda, because you're out to do a movie. The more entertaining the movie is, obviously, the more money you're going to generate, because the more people are going to want to go back and watch it again.
See, I was always amazed that Watchmen was so like the comic, because I was expecting a lot of changes for the public and that kind of audience. And obviously, these people are doing these things to make money, aren't they? That's the only reason they're doing it. And I don't know whether Watchmen actually made any money, but I was pleasantly surprised that it was so along the same track as the comic, which the comic is great. And this is one of my bugbears, you see, is that I don't understand why people buy a property like Spider-Man, which is so popular and so well known, and then change everything. And it's like it's just for the change. It's not changes I don't like, but if it doesn't make it better, why are you changing it? Absolutely. That's my argument. And it's just all this this new woke stuff and all this creeping in, and got to have this, you got to have a female doctor. Did it work? I don't know. I didn't watch it, because to me, the doctor isn't a female. Maybe that's me being closed-minded or whatever, but it's just done for the sake of it, and that's what I don't like.
You almost have to look at it as a multiverse thing again. You know, that's not. Tennant isn't Tom Baker either.
No, I realize that.
But it's the same basic character.
But he's Doctor Who.
Always, to me, it's always a different doctor from a different universe. Is over here we have Pluto TV. That is a streaming service that they have. They run a channel of nothing but old Doctor Who's,
right?
And that runs from Hartnell all the way to McCoy.
Yeah,
I mean the old Doctor Who's still charming, still amazing stuff. But you turn around and you watch the Tennant material; it's night and day.
Yeah,
as far as quality goes, writing goes, everything has stepped up so much. I love it when they treat the property seriously.
Yes.
The thing with Whittaker is the female Doctor Who could be incredibly successful, but the writing just fell short. And again, like you were saying, they got a little bit too hard-handed with the stuff they felt they had to say instead of the stuff that they needed to do in order to entertain people.
Yes, exactly.
And that's why it failed.
I loved Whittaker's first episode. I think it was very strong, but very quickly afterwards, you could see that it lost its momentum. The writing just wasn't up to par to the previous Doctors, and at that point, you just give up.
Is she still in the part?
She is temporarily.
I don't
they're already washing her out. I think she's doing another. I think there's another season already in the can, if I'm not mistaken.
Right.
But the rumor is that her and the showrunner are both done after that. The rumor is Russell T Davies is coming back, the guy who did Eccleston and the initial Tenet run, and that Tenet is coming back for a couple of specials.
Oh, right. Well, that'll be good.
That's the rumor.
The last time I watched it on a regular basis was when Eccleston was. And when was that? 2005 was that?
That was quite a while ago, yeah. And Eccleston to me wasn't really a decent Doctor Who. You could tell there was a little air of bitterness underneath his acting ability, that he was never taking the part seriously. He's like, well, I'm here. Yeah.
Well, he said, didn't he, that he left because he didn't want to be stereotyped.
Yeah.
But what's he done since?
Well, exactly. Well, he saw the direction that it was going, and it frightened him, is what it is. He got stage fright and decided to step off.
You see,
but
I haven't watched a lot of it. I've seen that Jodie Whittaker for 2 minutes and not watched it. But the best thing I've ever seen.
They were falling apart really bad with Capaldi. The writing on that. I
never saw that.
Seasons
I didn't watch it.
Flopping over each other horribly. They were terrible.
The best thing I've seen in any Doctor Who program that I've ever seen is the bit where Van Gogh goes to the gallery.
Oh yeah, that's amazing.
I thought that was absolutely superb.
That whole episode is top notch. Yeah,
right. And that the actor is Scottish guy, isn't he? Somebody, I think it's called Kennedy. The guy who played Van Gogh. He was in a program called This Life in the 90s, and he played it was about some people living in a house in London. They were architects and lawyers and all that. That's where he started, and I always thought he was a good actor in that. And then I didn't see him for 10-15 years. Then he turned up as Van Gogh, and that shot when he turned sideways with Van Gogh's self-portrait, I mean, it's absolutely incredible.
That's genius directing. Yeah,
that 10 minutes, and Bill Nighy in that is absolutely brilliant, isn't he?
Was he he was the curator, the museum curator?
Bill Nighy,
yeah. I knew he was a famous actor, but you could see that when they ask him about Van Gogh, and he goes, you see that twinkle get in his eye, and just it's and he goes off for probably 3 minutes about how great the guy is.
That's right.
While the Van Gogh is just crying.
Yeah.
Behind
fantastic.
The guy's back.
Well,
like
the thing about Bill Nighy, he's in Valkyrie with Tom Cruise.
Yeah.
They tried to kill Hitler. And then he's in Love Actually and these comedy things. And he's just the same.
Yeah.
It's just, it doesn't change. He doesn't change at all. He's just the same.
He has the best line in that. He has the absolutely best line in that. It's like, listen, if you want some advice from a broken down old has-been, don't buy drugs, kids. Become a pop star. They'll give them to you for free.
With Anton Deck.
And or Deck.
Yeah.
That guy is he's a treasure. He's a national treasure.
He's an ex junkie himself, isn't he?
Yeah, he's fantastic.
Oh yeah.
I think he had a good time in the 60s.
The best actors are the ones that have had a full life anyway, that have gone on to look at the life that Christopher Lee led.
Right.
God, such a great actor.
Yeah.
Wasn't he a spy or something?
Richard Harris and all these
They're
people.
saying now he was the basis for James Bond, that he knew Ian Fleming.
No, that's based on Ian Fleming.
Is it?
That's based on
himself? Yeah.
Yeah.
There was some. I'm sure it wasn't accurate because it was on Facebook, but something attributing some of the James Bond inspiration to Christopher Lee because of his war experience.
If you want it not to be believed, put it on Facebook.
There you go.
That's like the conspiracy theorist theory.
Yeah.
Hide it in plain sight. Joseph Goebbels did that. He was a master, wasn't he, of propaganda? Just doing it for the wrong side. But I doubt. From what I know that Ian Fleming based James
Based
Bond
it
on
on
himself.
himself.
Yeah, because he was doing all that.
I had heard that too. Yeah,
he was involved in the D-Day intelligence for D-Day landings and all that kind of stuff.
set up the fake airfield and kept Patton.
Yeah, have you seen
grounded?
Those, Have you seen those fantastic Sherman tanks that are made of rubber? When you see it, it looks like a Sherman. Have you seen that? And they just push it over. Have you seen that?
Yeah.
And all those trucks and everything there. And the Germans were flying over and photographing it. There's 10,000 tanks, and they're all made of rubber.
They're all fake.
And it shows you these guys standing next to it, and then he just pushes it over because it's made of. It's just absolute genius. You know?
They thought we were coming somewhere else, didn't they?
Yeah, they went.
We were stashing. Yeah, we were building up a whole armada to go to a different place, and it was all faked. So that when they flew over, they got the pictures. So.
But Rommel knew. Hitler thought we were going to go to Calais, which is only 20 miles, and we went down to Normandy instead. But Rommel knew that we were going to go or figured we'd go to Normandy, and he said to Hitler, "No, you don't put all the tanks in, all our troops in Calais." And he said, "What do you know about anything?" You know, and he was right.
Yeah, you're just a strategical genius.
Yeah.
Why should I listen to you?
The reason they lost the war is because Adolf was in charge.
That's right.
Ego, more than Adolf. Ego was in charge.
Ego. Yeah.
Morning, Sin Killer, the Ninja. Thanks for listening in. Sin Killer says it should have been.
Marv, by the way.
Oh, should have what? Yeah, Marv. Should have been your own ass. Science. Yeah. Jennifer, cool. Thanks for listening. Glenn, do you not watch any of what is any of the what ifs? Then yeah.
No.
Also a great animated series. Pardon?
I don't watch any of it. I've said this to you before. The last film I saw at the cinema was Watchmen. Because what they did was the powers that be decided to knock down my local cinema. So now I've got to drive 10 miles to the cinema to park up at a crazy rate to watch a film that I don't really need to see for 12 quid. And I just won't do it.
Cinema's cut its own throat, isn't it?
Yeah.
Especially anymore. We were sitting when we went to see Spider-Man last weekend. We were sitting there trying to figure out what the last movie was that we saw. It was years ago.
On the cinema,
yeah, at the cinema.
Yeah.
But we had to, Spider-Man you've got to see at the cinema, and Batman, same the big spectacle movies you have to go see on the widescreen. And the surprising thing is when we got to the theater, they asked me if I wanted to pick my seat, which has never happened before because it's always been first come, first serve. And I was riding a cane also. So I took a handicap spot. I knew where the aisle was so I could stretch my legs out. Right. But also they gave me a choice if I wanted a recliner chair.
Oh, wow.
Instead of a regular movie chair. Now they had a couple of rows of just hardcore extra padded recliners. And I'm sitting there looking at them going, I'd sit in that thing for 5 minutes while I'm watching their stupid commercials, waiting for the trailers to show up. I'd fall asleep. I'd end up waking up when the lights came back on. That'd be terrible.
You see, I'm just a grumpy old man. I just wish they get rid of all the popcorn and drinks and stuff. Just can't people just sit there for 2 hours and not graze?
And since the last time I was there, they got a liquor license. So you can sit there, watch a movie in a recliner with a beer. You might as well be home.
Do you know,
except for the screen is really big.
I used to work with a guy. Get this, he was Welsh. He used to play rugby, right? You know what rugby is?
Oh yeah,
like your football, and or similar.
Except without pads.
Yeah, without and pads. he and his friend. He used to play for a team, a group, and semi-professional. Mm-hmm. And he was asking me, and I've been to New York a few times at that time, and he asked me about New York because him and his team were going to New York for a week to play 4 games against these American lads. So I told him, go here, do this, do that, do that, do that, do that. It's brilliant, do this. So he shot off and he came back and he didn't do any of it because what rugby people seem to do is drink a lot of beer. So when they got there, 7-hour flight, they got there, they were drunk. They checked in. Drank at the bar in the hotel, went to bed, got something to eat, went to bed, got up, went to the stadium, played the game, got drunk, and he didn't do anything except play rugby with a bad head. And I thought, what a stupid idiot. You can drink anytime. But to go to somewhere like New York or anywhere, but somewhere like New York and not see anything in a week is criminal. Yeah. That's my opinion.
That last time I was only there for 3 days, I still walked through Central Park.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
You've got to do it, haven't you? Yeah. You've got to do it. You have to
drove the island, though it was kind of against my will, but that's a whole nother story. We want to thank everybody for listening today. Go ahead, Glenn. Sorry.
No, I'm just going to say I'm just a grumpy old man because I think I'm the oldest here. I'm just a grumpy old man.
You think you're the oldest? Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, anyway, want to thank everybody for listening to or watching the Sunday Funnies. We kind of ran all over the place, but that's part of what Sunday Funnies is about. Hope you got some of the fact that we love this business. We love this art form. We love doing what we're doing. Russ has been working on his art the entire show. And we deeply appreciate everybody tuning in. And Russ, tell folks how they can find you.
Yeah, you can find me at russleach.com. I also have a link tree. So that'll be, I think you can get the link tree off there as well. But if not, you just go to russleach.com and everything's there. My YouTube, LinkedIn, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, all of it. It's all the links are all there. And you can find out about Only Death Can Save Us from there as well. And there will be some more updates on the site. You find out about the latest work that I'm producing as well.
A Sin Killer, Marv speaks up and says, I don't go to the theater because there's too much cell phones and talking.
Yeah.
And I have to admit, when I was at the theater with Spider-Man, my cell phone went off.
Oh,
I picked it up.
I was going to say, Marv.
My physical therapist. Luckily, it was in a dull part of the movie, or I'd have been, everybody would have been screaming at me.
I was going to say, Marv, you should switch it off then.
Yeah, just turn it off. Stop talking. Yeah,
just stop talking.
But at the theater I went to, they had to show 15 minutes of stupid commercials, and then 2 trailers. Before they showed the feature. I would much rather sit through a cartoon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's too easy.
Yeah.
They do that.
They've got to sell. They've got to sell.
Yeah. Glenn, tell folks how they can find you.
They can find me on Facebook, basically, and I'm on Twitter and Instagram and those things as well. But basically, you'll get me on Facebook if you want to, talk to me. But if you want to get my work, you can get that on Amazon. Lots of different books there, comic strips and all sorts of stuff on there. And I'm currently on Indiegogo, if I can just plug this again, with my Jack Kirby book and DVD of my visits to his house. In his interview, not interviewed, he talks on this with me for about 45 minutes. It's a lovely hardback book there with a lovely spine on it. Fantastic. So yeah, just on Indiegogo right now. And you can find me on several podcasts like this one. And I'm on Comics Unlimited podcast on Thursdays with Ted Davis, and generally on a lot of podcasts. So you can find me there.
Me Troll TV says, thanks for being here this morning, all you grumpy old men.
Get off my lawn.
40, it's the beard. Wrinkles from work.
Gets them every time. Yeah. Ted Davies says, much success, everyone. Have a great week. Yes, you too, Ted.
You, Ted.
Mike, Jimmy, tell folks how they can find you.
You can find me on pretty much everywhere as Aries and Ends, Mike Jimmy de Bruin. And you can find Live on Cora issue 5 right now on Indiegogo with this being the last campaign where you can get the first print run from Live on Cora 1. So these are literally copies I have left. And then we're going into a reprint where my colorist has reworked everything. So you got 3 days left, so be quick and grab yourself a plushie while you're at it.
That's 3 days left. Life on Cora. We're on Indiegogo.
On Indiegogo, yeah.
Yes. Life of Cora. C-O-R-A. Make sure you check that out. Want to thank you again for being here. Want to thank all of my guests for being on. I've been your host, Randy Zimmerman. You can find me on Facebook. You can find me here on the Ragin 2 broadcast network, where you can see me at least 3 times a week, if not more. I'm going to be on later on today on JD Calderon's show. Looking forward to that. That's Indie Comics Explained. Then I will be back on Tuesday for Dispatches Outside the Box, along with C. Michael Lanning and Stone Abdullah. We should be on. No, we will be on, but I'm not sure about Stone. All depends on his wife, or his girlfriend. We'll see how that goes. Anyway, just kidding. He knows I'm kidding.
We know.
Then I'll be back on Wednesday night for the Zimcast, where we'll talk about hopefully not quite the opposite, but pretty close. We're going to talk about the nuts and bolts of the industry, take questions, complaints, deal with other folks' situations, help people out as much as we can in this wonderful art form we call comics. Also, right now is the Long Shots campaign available over on Indiegogo. There was an entire fiasco type situation that a group of us publishers, including Arrow Comics, had a whole group of books printed, 9 books in total, where for a deal that ended up not being real. So you can read more about that over at the campaign. That's at Indiegogo. It's called The Long Shots, where you can buy all 9 of those comics for $25 plus shipping. And believe me, it's more than worth the value. The books are extra pretty, very shiny. As you can see, 3 staples on the spine, just expertly printed books. A lot of fun to read. I've got a book there called Hero Bot Zero. Russ has got a book, a part of Only Death Can Save Us on there. Just beautifully produced books. Here's a little short clip about that. Let's run that. All printed and ready to be shipped to you now. So we're going to be coordinating our plans for shipping here within the next day or so. And the campaign is already sitting at almost 2,000, 1,800. We've got 41 backers, and there's plenty of books to go around. We're real happy to get these books out to you. We hope that you get a chance to pick them up and read them and take part of the campaign. We also have a couple of extra tiers. There's some extra, a lot of great extras that go along with it. Metal bookmarks, trading cards, sketch cards, prints, all sorts of things. Even some original art's going to sneak in there. You never know what you're going to get. So take a look. They're even offering bound volumes of the books in very limited numbers. And the offer is still open for the $10,000 executive tour. That if you want to buy in, we'll give you the exact same experience that we went through. Only we'll all be there with you, and it'll be a great time. You should, if you get a chance to read that on the Long Shots. Let me switch over to that and show it to you. Down here at the executive tour, the executive experience. There's only one available. It's only $10,000. We guarantee you 1 rental car, economy, 3-day luxury hotel, bug spray and dewormer provided, 1 voucher for an Italian lunch, a guided tour of Spencer's corporate office's parking lot with a promise of going inside that will never materialize. 1 voucher for a sawhorse ride at the Texas Roadhouse down the street. And finally, a tour of a comic book store's basement. We might even throw in a tour of Central Park at the same time. You never know.
It'll be all, and
but we're all dedicated to be there, all on our dime, or all at that 10,000 tier.
I like that estimated shipping piece that you did there. Did you?
Pardon?
The estimated shipping. Did you see it? Well, you must have done. You did it.
Oh, estimated shipping.
Yeah. Just look at it, what it says.
Oh, I already Z'd out of the X'd out of the page. But
okay, well, people go to that page.
I didn't catch it. There's probably not much shipping. So,
No.
what does it say?
It just said the same date. It had the date, and then it was crossed out, and then it had the same date underneath it.
Oh, yeah.
Like you'd made a mistake and crossed it out and forgot to take it out.
Oh my god.
Well, the executive tier, believe me, is no joke. Anybody that wants to pay us 10 grand, we'll go through that experience all over again and split the profits equally. Yeah.
If I had 10 grand, I'd do it.
Honestly,
we're all talking about getting together at least once a year now anyway, just to meet each other face to face, because we see each other mostly through podcasts, but we still haven't figured out how to smuggle Russ into the country. So,
well, keep me informed on that, because we're looking at coming over soon. So,
are you really?
Yeah,
that's cool.
Yeah,
I can guarantee you a fried chicken dinner you'll never forget.
Okay.
I'll take you up to Frankenmuth. You might have to look it up. Bavarian Inn. It's a 5-star restaurant. That's a lot of lederhosen.
That's what
they have a family a family fried chicken dinner there that is unbelievable.
One of the funniest things I've ever seen is a photograph of Adolf Hitler with his lederhosen on. Have you seen that?
No.
It's the funniest thing you've ever seen. Have you seen that, Mike?
That. Yeah.
He's about 38 and he's standing there.
It was
with his stuff on, with little shorts on. He looks he looks what he is, a joke.
Shorts and bretelles and everything. And just, oh my god.
The whole thing.
That I think we've covered the entire spectrum of the History Channel today. It's all good. All right, folks, we'll see you soon. We're going out the same way we came in. Again, thank you so much for watching. Sin Killer says better than the Star Wars Galactic Cruiser experience. Yes, it is. We guarantee you that. Sin Killer says only if there's donuts. I can do that.
Donuts.
I can do that. I can provide donuts. Yes. We have a legendary donut shop here that I was happy to do the signage work for, and the work for. I'd show you a sample of their box, but it's way over on the other side here. Everybody that buys a dozen donuts gets a piece of my artwork. It's pretty cool. Anyway, everybody, take care.
Yep.
Thanks again for watching.
See
you soon. And remember, buy independent comics, especially ours.
Yeah.
As Daphne Lage would say.
As she would cackle. Yeah.
As she would cackle.
That's the main reason I tune into to her and Nita, to listen to Daphne ranting and cackling when she's going along.
Oh, that's
great.
It's Ragin 2 network. It's on in the early morning here, probably late afternoon where you guys are.
I think I'm on it next week. I'm not sure. End of the month.
I think there's a drinking game out there involving Daphne hitting the desk, but I'm not positive yet. When she's driving her points home. And we say that out of nothing but love, Daphne. Don't take it personal. So
she won't.
We'll see everybody soon. Take care. Going out the way we came in.
Bye-bye.
See ya.
Do you draw the Flintstones naked?